Hey guys, welcome to Mondays with Mike. It is great to be with you today. And today's going to be something a little bit different. You know, last week I did top 5 weather myths, kind of like a myth busting thing, which was, I kind of enjoyed it. Some people get mad at me about the chemtrail thing, but so I'm going to stay away from any controversial topics today. I've been listening to a lot of music lately. And so I go through, I don't know about you, but I kind of go through like phases. I know everybody does, but sometimes I'm into like kind of hard rock, which is kind of what I'm into now, like dad rock. And then, sometimes I get a little bit more mellow, and sometimes I just stop listening to music altogether and I just put on some podcasts or something and then I get bored. But anyway, today I thought I would run down for you. And I would like to ask you, your opinions. What are the best weather songs of all time? Now look, I'm coming from the point of view of somebody who likes guitar-oriented rock music. So, Heat Wave and stuff like that is probably not going to end up on the list. But it might end up on your list. And so as I go through these, I would love to see, comment here. Comment below. What did I leave off the list? And what's on your list of the best weather songs? Now, I will tell you that I've taken a little bit of liberty here because some of these songs, they're kind of broken down into categories. Some of the songs are literally about weather. Some of the songs are kind of have a weather-related theme as like a metaphor, kind of thing. And some of them just really don't have anything to do with weather, but maybe there's some tie-in, and I just really like the song. So anyway, so I have my top 10, I have my top 10 weather-related songs, and they're all basically rock songs. And then I have 5 honorable mentions, So I'm gonna start off with one that is very obvious to those of you who, like me, live here in the great state of Texas, from one of our legendary performers here, and the song is Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now this one is literally about weather. It's literally about a Texas flood. It's flooding down in Texas. All the telephone lines are down. Stevie Ray, I'm sure, experienced some of the big, Texas floods, and haven't we all, right? So he really, the only reason this song doesn't rank higher on the list, because I have it at number 10, is that, and I love Stevie Ray Vaughan, but it's like Texas Flood really sounds kind of similar to like The Sky is Crying, and I don't know. I would have ranked it higher if it maybe was a little bit, he used more distortion or something. But anyway, so number 10 is Texas Flood by the great SRV, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Okay, so next is going to be one that I'm sure that you all know is on the list, my rock and roll people, and that is Thunderstruck. You've been thunderstruck by AC/DC. So this one, I don't know if it's literally about weather or not, because I can't understand what he's saying, other than the chorus. So, and a funny story, by the way, about Thunderstruck. This is just like a personal story, My oldest daughters, who are 15 now, when they were about, 7, I forgot. It's a long time ago. They were in dance class, and one of the songs that they were dancing to, they had a different choreographed routine to like maybe 8 or 9 or 10 different songs. And their song was Thunderstruck by AC/DC. And it was a really cool kind of high energy dance routine. But it was also the last song that was up. So when all the girls came out with their teacher and took a bow and all that stuff, like Thunderstruck was still playing. It was like on a loop. So like Thunderstruck was still playing and stuff, and it's like, okay. And then as all the parents came up on stage and gave the girls flowers and all this, Thunderstruck was still playing. And then as you're thanking the teacher and everybody's getting ready to leave, Thunderstruck was still playing. And it was like the song had looped through like 10 times. Oh my gosh. I was like, I never want to hear this song again. It was funny. So I think of that every single time Thunderstruck comes on the radio. I think of that circumstance at the dance recital. It's just weird. It's funny. All right, so the next one is one that is played a lot when we're preparing for a hurricane. In fact, when I was growing up in Florida, we had a hurricane coming, and this was the song they played on the radio when the DJ said, all right, we're all get ready for the storm to come, right? And it is Riding the Storm Out by REO Speedwagon, who, by the way, we had a I don't know if it was a reporter, anchor, I don't remember what it was, but recently, in the recent past, these youngsters, they've never heard of REO Speedwagon. And this guy or gal, I don't remember, they said, Rio Speedwagon. So anyway. So Riding the Storm Out is definitely invokes that storm preparation kind of thing. Like, okay, the hurricane is coming. We're, like Judge Emmett used to say, we're going to hunker down, right? We're riding the storm out. So that one is a great one. And it's just got a really good driving, like riff to it and stuff too. All right, the next one is a mellow one. So this is going to be number 7 on the list. It's kind of a mellow one, and it is No Rain by Blind Melon. And this song, it's a shame because the song really is known mostly for the little girl in the bee costume who's, kind of running around in the music video, which was cute. But the thing is, it really is, I think, a really good song. It's got a nifty guitar solo in it. And the singer of Blind Melon, as you probably know, as you might know, was a guy named Shannon Hoon, who unfortunately died of a drug overdose. He was self-destructive. But he was such a great singer. And a little bit of trivia is that if you watch the video, the Guns N' Roses video for Don't Cry, at the end of the video, they're up on the roof, like singing. It's like a big epic video that Guns N' Roses did a lot of in the early 90s. And anyway, Shannon Hoon is up there on the rooftop with Axl and everybody. And that's when he first got noticed. And then, anyway, that's just a little trivia. So it's a shame. So rest in peace and No Rain, yeah. So that's going to be number 7. All right, now number 6 is probably what you all thought was going to be number 1, but I'll tell you why I'm putting it at number 6, and it is the Scorps with Rock You Like a Hurricane. Okay. Da-da-da, da-da, da-da, da-da. Okay. Obviously, legendary riff. We've all heard it a million times. It's got great harmonized guitar solos in it, and it's sung in the way that only those German rockers can sing the song. So it's a really good song, musically. Here's why it's number 6 and not number 1 or number 2. The lyrics to the song are so awful. Like, I mean, obviously, Rock You Like a Hurricane is, yeah. But here I am, Rock You Like a Hurricane, good. The rest of the verses are ridiculous. If you've never either listened to it really closely or go Google it, what the words are, the lyrics are absolutely ridiculous. And I was telling a friend of mine one time a while back about, we were talking about the Scorpions, and I said, man, Rock You Like a Hurricane has the worst lyrics in history. They're so stupid. And he said, well, yeah, I don't think that Klaus had a good grasp of the English language yet, or something like that. Okay, maybe that's an excuse, but not really. All right. That's number 6. I'm telling you, you search up those lyrics. It's not good at all. All right, so number 5 on the list is, okay, now we're getting into the meaty stuff. Now we're getting into the good stuff, okay? My favorite band, okay, Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks. All right, this is a song that's literally about the weather, right? I mean, it's literally something you can relate to. If it keeps on raining, the levee's going to break. And sometimes it does. And but this is, oh man, such a good song. And the most famous part of the song is the drums, which open it, with John Bonham kind of opening up this real echoed kind of drum opening that just kind of drones through the whole song. But for those of you who are really into music, there's a guy, like if you want to go down a rabbit hole of When the Levee Breaks, there's a guy that did a whole deep dive. He must have spent a year doing this on YouTube. And gosh, I wish I remember what his name was, but you could look it up, like When the Levee Breaks, like deep dive or something like that, or dissecting When the Levee Breaks, because he went through and tried to figure out what Jimmy Page was doing with the guitars. Because if you don't pay, most people don't pay attention to the guitars on When the Levee Breaks. You hear the harmonica and you hear the drums and you hear the lyrics, obviously. But if you really listen to the guitars, there's a lot of weird stuff happening in there. Like you can't figure out what he's doing, really. And so this guy went on a really deep dive, and anyway, it's on YouTube. You should check it out. It's very, very cool. He tried to figure out what tuning Jimmy Page was in and stuff, and it was crazy. So that's number 5. Number 4 is also from Led Zeppelin, and it is the Rain Song. Now this one is very mellow. So the Rain Song is on the Houses of the Holy album. And it's a beautiful, beautiful song, and it's not like a rocker. It's not a hard-driving rocker. It's a beautiful sort of acoustic song, and it's orchestral, and then it does have sort of a crescendo at the end, but it's just such a good song. And it's done in a very unusual tuning for people who are guitar players, very unusual tuning. Like you'd never figure it out on your own unless you kind of looked it up. It's cool. It's just very, very cool. So the Rain Song, is it literally about weather? Not really. Yeah, not really. I think it's a metaphor. It's one of those ones where it's a metaphor. But it's beautiful. All right, I took some liberty with the third one, and it's just because it's one of my favorite songs. It's definitely one of my favorite guitar solos of all time, not even close. And it's vaguely related to weather, and it is Rainbow in the Dark by Dio. Okay, so we're taking you back to the early 80s right now, and oh man, so Rainbow in the Dark. Now that, again, it's a metaphor, not literally talking about rainbows. He's not literally talking about like raindrops and sunshine coming in and prisms and things like that, but he uses it as a metaphor for something. I really don't know what he means by it. He's like a rainbow in the dark. I don't know. You're like a shining light. You're like this beautiful shining light, but it's so dark nobody can see you. I don't know. All I know is that guitar solo was played by, I believe, by Vivian Campbell, who of course now is with Def Leppard, but so good. So good. Go listen to Rainbow in the Dark. All right, so now we're getting close. Now we're getting really close, okay? So my number 2 favorite song about weather is November Rain by Guns N' Roses. It's a beautiful song. And it's a perfect kind of song that's like an epic song because it starts out with piano, and, Axl is getting all these real emotional and serious. And then it is just the ultimate. The song just keeps building and building and building, just like Stairway to Heaven, until you get to like the very end, and Slash is just playing this legendary solo and all that stuff. And it's hard to hold a candle in the cold November rain. It really like makes you think of those dreary, kind of rainy days. Maybe it's in November, maybe it's in January, I don't know. And it's just cold out and just dreary, and anyway, I'm sure he uses it as a metaphor also, but it also is literally about weather. So number 2 is November Rain. It's a beautiful song. It's a really, really beautiful song. Okay, now before I get to my number 1 song, which you're probably never going to guess, I have some honorable mentions. So I will have 5 honorable mentions for you. The first honorable mention is Dust in the Wind. Dust in the Wind. We have Saharan Dust. Maybe it's Saharan Dust in the Wind. Dust in the Wind by Kansas, of course. I saw them in concert one time. They're really good. Of course, the legendary Beatles and Here Comes the Sun, written by George Harrison. The only reason I didn't put that in the top 10 was because it was too predictable. Riders on the Storm by The Doors. And the only reason I didn't put that in the top 10 is that it's a really dark song, and it really, like, it's about a killer and stuff, and it's not really related to storms, but it's, you know, it's got the word storm in the title. All right, and then, the last two honorable mentions are fun ones. The Heat Is On, of course, by Glenn Frey, which I use whenever it's going to be really hot. I always use that on my Facebook post. The heat is on, the heat is on, the heat is on. Yeah, it's on the streets, okay? So that was a great one. And finally, I'm going to deviate from my rock and roll stuff, and I'm going to pick a country song for you, pop country. I Love a Rainy Night by Eddie Rabbitt. I remember listening to that when I was growing up, because when I was a little kid, my parents, like everybody's parents, like in the early 80s, went through like a country phase. This was like urban cowboy time frame. And so they would like have the country music station on just for a short period of time, like a year or two. And that song was real popular at the time. I Love a Rainy Night. So drum roll, please. The number one, my personal number one favorite weather-related song. Are you ready? It is Radar Love by Golden Earring. Yeah, you get radar. Fox Rad Radar. Okay, I don't know if that's what they were singing about, if they knew that Fox Rad Radar was going to exist, but had they known, they might have named the song, you know, Fox Rad Radar Love or Fox 26 Radar Love. So this is a song by a group called Golden Earring, and came out in 1973. And it's just awesome. It is one of those songs where, like, you can accidentally speed when you're listening to the song, because it's just got, oh man, it's so good. And it also is using Radar Love as completely as a metaphor. You know, not really talking about radar necessarily, but it's close enough for me. And also, I will leave you with this, that Radar Love was remade in like around 1989, 1990-ish by White Lion. And their version also is killer, so you should check their version out. So I would love to hear from you. What are your favorite weather-related songs? There's a lot of them, obviously, that I didn't include, that are kind of more folk songs. There's a lot of oldies from the 50s and 60s. There's a lot out there. So anyway, let me know below. You don't have to come up with all 10. Let me know a couple, unless you have 10 on the top of your mind. So anyway, that'll do it for this week's Mondays with Mike. It's just a fun one. You know, we're not doing any myth busting or science here, mainly just talking about music, because that's kind of what's on my mind today. And I want to thank you very much for watching, and please leave me those comments, and I will give you a shout out next week for